with the boy. Same thing. I got the boys.
All right. So good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Depends on when you're hearing this podcast or when you're watching it. You are here with me, Jermaine Jackson, on the celebration of excellence. In the room, I have two very special guests. I have Kevin and Keith Davis of the TuVues Podcast. I met these two young brothers back on the campus of Blackburn College. We was on the grid, ironed together. Funny story about these two in a football game. I don't know if I should tell it right now, but it was funny to me about what happened.
Hey, it is what it is. Tell it. I don't care. Tell it.
So it was our homecoming game at Blackburn. If I go through a quick story, now these were two of the best football players we had on the team, but we had some coaches that did not realize the talent of some of the players they had. To me, if we put it in retrospect, the second team players better than the first team players on both sides, defense and offense. You know, some people may hear this podcast and disagree with that. That's okay. We was better. We used to show y'all in practice. I was on offense. They were both on defense. So Kevin got in on special teams, went down on a punt. We punted the ball because our offense wasn't moving it. Kevin laid the punt returner out, threw a flag on him. It was a legal hit. And everybody, our whole crowd, like, oh, we sitting there, people looking like, why this guy ain't in the game? The way we were losing, he ain't starting at linebacker. Even his brother Keith should have been definitely one of our starting defensive linemen out there. So Kevin get the flag, and he was supposed to be in the game playing linebacker. Well, because of the penalty, the defensive coach at that time took him out. He ain't know nothing, no way. So Kevin, he pulled an Antonio Brown. This brother, we see all of a sudden his stuff flying off, and we hear the famous line, "Man, I ain't playing for this team." And we look around, what Kevin going? And I guess because this is his twin brother, he bounced too. They pulled it Antonio Brown before he ever did it. And then they was at the homecoming dance that night, tearing up the dance floor.
Yeah.
With the whole football team. And I was sitting there like, these dudes here.
But you know what? That was a combination of other experiences, man. Because I remember. Well, I think what started off that mindset where we kind of got like that is we were playing. What's the team where they was Scientologists and they prayed over their team? What team was that?
Principia.
We were playing Principia, and we just sitting there and they just killing the defense, killing the offense, and then finally they's like Keith, Kevin, and what was the other linebacker?
No, Ross.
Yeah, Keith, Kevin, and Ross go in at linebacker. So all three of us go in. When I tell you Principia didn't get a first down.
Nope.
Every series was in, they get a first down, we would come back out. And so they kind of that had already started weighing on me. And so at the homecoming game, we getting killed. Like I said, we get killed. Kevin make the hit, and so they finally want to put me and Kevin in at the end of the game. And as we running in, I guess Kevin mad about something. He mad about something. He say something, and one of the other linebackers snitched on him. And they took both of us out of the game. I ain't do nothing at all. I did nothing. He just said, "Kid and Kevin back out of the game." So I just kept walking. He took me out. I just kept walking. I'm done, man.
Yeah, because that Principia game, the second team offense, second team defense almost brought us back to win that game. Yeah. That was the ironic part. So while you got all of us on the sideline, if we were down by 3-4 touchdowns by the end, we almost brought us back.
But let me say something about that homecoming game, though. Another part I want to add is what the starting linebacker, whoever's in front of me, I think it was Moose or something like that. All right, garbage, whatever. Yeah, I'm calling you garbage. But I was training all week to start at linebacker. We get to the game, and coach gonna put Pops in for me.
The fourth string linebacker
starting this game. Bro, I'm training all week to start, and you put this dude who can't tie my cleats.
At the bottom of the depth chart.
and I think that sparked in me like, man, no, I'm done. Like, I'm finna go out here and just play hard and go crazy. But, man, it's a wrap for me, bro. Like, that was just something.
It was Principia for me.
I'm out.
I didn't even know Kevin. I didn't even know Kevin and Flip was behind me, though.
But one thing that came from all that though, man, for just going to Blackburn in general, man, we still made some great friends though. That's one thing we can't. That's a great thing we can take from Blackburn, man. We still make great friends, man, and still communicate till this day. Like we ain't the only ones that got BS in that process. There was other people that got BS in that process, right? We the ones that just said we out, right? But it was a total. That's why that program ain't got no football team no more.
And it was sad. It was sad to see that demise, and not they lost a lot of people coming to that school too because of that. And even that, we finna get to the show in a minute. What was petty about it? These dudes, not that y'all went to Eureka, that wasn't petty. You would think Blackburn, they rear view, they done moved on. Kevin had a great career at Eureka. If you saw us on the other show for Celebration, Evan had Kevin brought Hall of Fame. I know Keith kind of had some injuries that he didn't have the career fully to what he should have. Another excellent player. These dudes gonna come to the dorm event next year at Blackburn, both of them. Now that was the petty part. They'd have moved on. But just to prove a point and how good it was in football, they come back to North Hall. That's where I stayed at. Every spring we had a dorm event. It was like a 7-on-7 flag football. And remember, a lot of people still wasn't happy with these two. Like I said, they walked off, quit, came to the homecoming dance. It was almost altercation there. I stood up for my brother. Hey, listen, we ain't finna fight. Ain't nothing like that going down. I ain't saying they would have lost or nothing, but we just ain't need that happening at Blackburn with the ones that was coming against them. They come back next year to the dorm event. They had been building. They've been talking trash. We coming back, and they team won the whole dorm event tournament. So they proved a point to let them know this is why we should have played. Let us prove it to y'all. Exactly. Came back and they squad won the whole dorm event. Now me, I was fun. I was on their side the whole time. Now I was still at Blackburn. I'm like, you recognize talent, and I just went through that. Just at that school, them coaches had their favorites. Not saying that some guys that started weren't legit athletes, but we lost some of the best athletes. Yeah, KevG. When D. Riley moved on to go to Quincy, because of the coaching there, we lost some very good athletes that I think if they would have stayed, our school definitely that year, I think I was a junior, y'all were freshmen. That was the first year we were actually in the conference, and we should have dominated. Every game we lost, some of those games were about like a touchdown, a couple points. We should have won, been higher up in that playoff. We went to Minnesota. I know the guys missed out on that, but we had a decent squad that year. If they just would have put the right people in place, I think it would have been different. These two brothers might have stayed on and played because we had a decent team. But just want to share that with y'all. Hilarious moments when I think back. So appreciate y'all. So go ahead. But
it was, and I just want to say, for some of the players, y'all know, I still look at y'all as friends. It wasn't about y'all, man. It was about the principle. Like if we were supposed to be in that spot and sitting behind people, that we'd have gladly done that. Matter of fact, when we got to Eureka, we sat behind two great linebackers, and we were okay with that. But our thing was not getting a chance to thrive, to participate, to help out the team. And a lot of people don't know the dirt that was done behind the scenes with coaching, with players throwing our equipment in the garbage. And a lot of people don't know a lot of those things that happen that kind of fueled the fire. So it wasn't, I just want to say, it wasn't nothing about the family there, the team, a lot of the team mates that we had there. It wasn't a lot about a lot of that. It's about a lot of that stuff, the underhanded stuff that kind of got to us. So.
Yeah, it was there because I ain't never seen two brothers practice as hard as y'all. The way y'all was hitting people in practice didn't even make no sense. Bro. I like, what's up with all this aggression? But yeah, and a lot of it was the coach. It definitely wasn't the players.
Practice how you play, man. You practice exactly how you gonna play in the game. This was coming.
Yeah, this. All right, man. All right, so let's get to the shows. We're gonna talk more about coach. I like what Keith just said about. It's the opportunity to help the team. We're going to get more into that. But before we get to that, in honor of the TuVues Podcast, if you all are looking for even a great podcast, I want to say these two brothers inspired me. I've been doing like these interviews and shows. I was doing it on Facebook, YouTube, but I started seeing what they were doing with their podcast. putting it on YouTube, just the different short reels they give us to put certain subjects to introduce them to us. Their podcast is great. Please go follow them. Spotify, Apple, go on their YouTube, subscribe and like. The content of what these two are bringing is great. Just topics that are definitely beneficial to our community, things we need to be talking about. As I said, Kevin and Keith are twin brothers. It's TuVues because you got two different views on there. They're going to do some stuff that's going to make you laugh. Some of the stuff they say is going to be very informative. It's going to make you think. I know with everyone that I've listened to, I've learned a lot. Both of you brothers are very educated, very successful in your professional careers. And so I appreciate what y'all are doing. Y'all are my inspiration to step out and to go into the podcasting field. And I'm learning a lot. I think I'm doing pretty well. And I just want to reach somebody, want to help somebody else out. I definitely love what you two are doing. And in honor of the TuVues Podcast, they have this thing they do on their podcast called the Top 5. Now, trust me, I ain't trying to steal it, but I just wanted to do it tonight because I got them both on here. We are all products of the state of Illinois. I grew up in the south suburb of Chicago. They grew up in Peoria, Illinois. So our top 5 today are the top 5 high school athletes of all time from the state of Illinois. Now, there's so many high school athletes that came from the state of Illinois, and I asked these two to focus on their accomplishments from high school. So whoever on this list, we don't want to look at their professional careers, because if you look at the professional careers, man, it's tough. I'm trying to look at what they did in high school to the best of our ability. So I'm gonna go first and kick it off because I want these two to go next. I like to see how they argue back and forth, call each other trash. Why you got that person on there? They might
call yours trash too.
I'm gonna hit mine with a couple of honorable mention before I get to my 5. Just growing up, I graduated in 2000 from high school when I was keeping up a lot with high school sports. These are some of the people that I saw coming up from junior high and high school. Honorable mention, I got Antoine Randall, Napoleon Harris, Ty Street, Mike Allstott, Donovan McNabb. Also got to show tribute to Isaiah Thomas. So those are some of my few honorable mention guys. Number 5, Dick Buckus. In high school, he played fullback, linebacker, punter, place kicker. Went to Chicago Vocational School. Was the player of the year as a junior. Senior year, probably would have got it again, but was facing some injuries. When I was looking this up and just thinking about some different people, Jackie Joyner Kersey from East St. Louis, Illinois. That's my number 4. One of the biggest things she did in high school, she qualified for the finals in the long jump at the 1980 Olympic trials, and she finished number 8. Now my number 3, Sean Livingston, from Peoria, Illinois. His grade school, he took them to 2 state titles. When he transferred to Peoria Central, led them back to the Class AA basketball championship in 03 and 04. Now this is so important because the basketball stuff now is broken into 4 different classes. Yeah. Because a lot of schools are crying that, the Simeons, the schools from Peoria, we're going to get into another Peoria athlete, was kept winning. So the other schools are saying, we don't got a chance. So they broke it up. After one of my people on my list left school, they changed it all to give other schools an opportunity to win. So when Sean Livingston was winning, it was way harder to get a championship in Illinois. Number 2, Frank Williams, Manual High School. 2 finals for he was part of that team that took 4 straight state titles from Manual High School. But he was number 2. It won't be like that. 1998 Mr. Basketball Honors at Illinois. Number 1, y'all gonna be mad. That's fine. Derrick Rose. That's right. I said it. Freshman, sophomore, city champs with a record of 24-1 at Simeon. Back-to-back state championship Class AA. Had an overall record at Simeon of 120 wins, 12 losses. Mr. Illinois in 2007 and the McDonald All-American. One of the greatest high school athletes. It was after he left high school that they changed it to 4 classes.
This man just said, this man says Chicago City champions.
His freshman and sophomore year, that was a big deal.
Hey,
but he won 2 state titles.
Hey, Jermaine, let me ask you a question. What city in Illinois is the mecca of basketball?
Man, that's sketchy. You gonna say
what's sketchy to it?
Okay, I get you. What city is the mecca of basketball?
Whatever.
I'm just gonna tell you, it's Peoria. I'm sorry, it's Peoria. But let me get to my list. Now your list ain't bad. You threw out some names, boy, that kind of like Dick Buckets, Jackie, like those some solid ones. That ain't bad. But my honorable mention, I'm gonna start off with one that ain't nobody gonna understand to get, man. But I'm gonna go with my nephew to Knowledge Hall, running back out of Peoria Rich Woods. He holds the single rushing record for rushes in the state playoff game. The boys are beasts. He's trying out for the NFL right now. Watch out for Knowledge Hall. He looking to try. He got to probably work out with the Bears. Let's see how it go. He might be toting the rock for our home team, but solid. But let me get to my list, man. Let me just get to my list. I'm gonna go with my number 5, which I'm surprised ain't on your list, man. Andre Iguodala out of Springfield Lanphier. He averaged 23, 7, and 4. Andre Iguodala. Hey, he came to Manual, and I'm sitting there watching him dunk on us.
Oh, yeah, it was ridiculous.
I'm like, oh, he's serious. Oh, he's serious about this game.
The only team he lost to was
that's my 5.
Yeah, he
then my number 4 is somebody y'all probably really don't know. It's track and field. Hold on, let me get track and field. Can y'all hear me? Y'all got me?
Yeah.
Track and field. Teddy Jackson.
I knew it.
Fastest man in the state of Illinois, running 100. Teddy Jackson. Piece of track and field, hold the record. Solid. Number 3, I agree with this. He on your list too. Sean Livingston. He led Peoria Central to some championships. Even this grade school, the boys are beasts. He transferred from Richwoods to Central to do all that. And you know, we all know what he did going further, but the Sean Livingston was the truth. And in fact, let me go back to Andre Iguodala. He was Sean was Mr. Basketball, right? He was Mr. Basketball in the state of my number 2 is your number 1, Derrick Rose. You can't deny what Derrick Rose did here in the state of Illinois. You can't. And his career, period. The boy is a beast. Except for you throwing in that city championship. Nobody care about no city championship. We talking about
you do up this way.
City. Yeah, that's why in football too, y'all care about city championships in football. None of them ever make it to win state except for Phillips. Phillips did it. But anyway, my number 1 is got to be the greatest individual basketball player in the state of Illinois in history, Frank Williams. It ain't even close. Mr. Basketball dominate. Ain't even close. Led Manual to back-to-back championship. It ain't even close. It's not even close. Okay, I had you in. That's my list. Let me say it again for you. Andre Iguodala, Teddy Jackson, Sean Livingston, Derrick Rose, Frank Williams. But man, you threw out there Dick Buckets and Jackie Jordan. I'm like, I had to put some people off my list.
Yeah, and that's when you didn't have none of them. I was kind of like
I had to do it quick. I was quick about it.
Y'all finna be mad at me on one person. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm glad y'all said. I got 3 honorable mentions, and I'm gonna add a 4th. Because I got. So you said Andre Iguodala. If you his body of work, I had him honorable mention. I had Teddy Jackson, and I had Tim Hardaway. I had Tim Hardaway. I think we sleep on Tim Hardaway, Daddy Hardaway, on the list. But I'm gonna add. So I don't mention y'all hear me. Andre Iguodala, Teddy Jackson, Tim Hardaway. I'm gonna add Derrick Rose. Yeah, I said it. Y'all can be mad at me if y'all want to. I'm gonna add Derrick Rose.
He's not an honorable mention, bro. He's not an honorable mention, bro.
Honorable mention. You be mad if you want to. So I'm gonna go with my number 5. I had Dick Buckets. For the same reason Jermaine said, we kind of had a similar at the bottom. I had Dick Buckets as 5, Jackie Jordan Kersey as 4, Isaiah Thomas as 3. Right. I got our top 2.
Pause. Jermaine said this list is based on high school accolades. Isaiah Thomas is not in top 5. Stop it. He in mine. In the league. He is not top 5 in Illinois, bro. No, stop. I'm gonna let you finish, but stop it, bro. Right. That's what's crazy. You got Isaiah in Illinois over Derrick Rose. That makes 0 sense. It makes no sense, bro. It makes no sense.
Sound like you want to fight, though. And then our top, me and Kevin top two are the same. I'm gonna go two with the boy Sean Livingston, because it's the way for me. Not only did Sean dominate,
it ain't the same. Because Derrick Rose was my two.
Oh, my fault. That's where you messed up right there. Well, Sean Livingston number two, because not only did Sean Livingston dominate, but I'm gonna tell you what made me knew Sean was gonna be a crazy star, because he was first at Richwoods, right? And we were out at the Peoria Gusmacker, and it was him going one-on-one with, I forgot who, Faulkner. I think his last name was Faulkner, was Richwood's number one player, and Sean had just transferred to Central. The game point at the Gusmacker, we just sitting there watching. Sean get the ball, ISO out the way, basically did a killer crossover on Faulkner and dunked it for the final point. And that's when I said that boy gonna be nice. And he went and he won those two championships with Central. So Sean, but what he was able to do with Peoria Central is undoubtedly, and I can't go against family. The man Frankie Williams, man. Just watching that dude game, his ISO game, his one-on-one game, and the way he played team ball, that translated over to the University of Illinois. That's why he got what he's able to do, make it to the NBA. But man, and I know I got a couple people. I know some people are gonna say, man, we ain't even got on the list a couple basketball high flyers from basketball from the Chicago area, man. But man, well, Frank, and what people don't understand is some of the Chicago athletes, basketball players, that became like some of them Hall of Famers. They lost to Frank.
KG.
They lost to Frank, right? And who was it? I forgot who it was. It's another Hall of Famer who has a podcast, and they had a podcast talking about Frankie Will, how hard it was to guard Frankie Will. I'm like, you in the NBA, you're gonna be a Hall of Famer. He's talking about how hard it was to guard Frankie Williams. Frank was a beast, man.
But then you got Howard Nathan, AJ Guy. You got a lot of.
Man, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, Illinois. When it comes to basketball, for sure, Illinois has some studs, bro.
What's the high flyer from Chicago in the early 90s? Because I know people gonna bring him up. You
got D Brown, you got Shannon Brown, like, man.
Yeah, Kendall Gill went to Central. He's from Illinois. That's back in the 80s. Yeah, my sister went to high school with him. So yeah, if you want to take it all even back there, then Benji, of course, he was murdered tragically, but what he would have been if his life, because they was pacing him to be the next Jordan with the way he balled, and Derrick Rose gave a lot of homage to him, saying he patterned his game after him. I know we don't see him as that good of a basketball player now, but even Patrick Beverly, if you look at him in high school, that boy was something different in high school.
Yeah.
So, a lot of these guys, it's definitely a lot of NBA players, but then, football players, you got Simeon Rice, Brian Young used to play for the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of just athletes just came out of the state of Illinois. And I know that list, y'all both got Frank Williams. It was hard. I was just trying to get Derrick Rose's flowers, but Frank Williams was a bad boy. I know he was. I seen him play. Like, I didn't know about when I went to Blackburn. That's how I learned about Peoria and y'all history with the basketball. Because me and Corey was roommates, and man, y'all had some beasts that just came out of there. Them 4 state championships that Manuel did. Sergio McClain and all them boys. Man, it was like you said, it was like a mecca for basketball. You wouldn't think them type of athletes came out of Peoria. Because I think Peoria is relatively forgotten sometimes. But when you begin to search the history, y'all definitely had some dominant athletes come out of there. So yeah, y'all breed.
Can I just say one quick more? I couldn't put him on the list because he graduated this year. That he's definitely going to be in the top 5 of Illinois of all time. Please. Cannon Webster, wrestler from Washington High School. Cannon Webster is one of the best wrestlers in the state of Illinois of all time. He is the grandson of our wrestling coach from Peoria, Manuel, back when we wrestled. 4-time state champion. Just kids dominant on the mat, man. So Cannon Webster gonna go down in the history books as one of the greatest of all time.
I'm surprised nobody had Anthony Davis, but I want to say one more thing before we move on. I had one more honorable mention. I just totally forgot. Kevin Davis.
Hey, man, go to the next topic, man. Go to the topic, man.
I ain't even surprised. Me either. All right, y'all. So we appreciate y'all for listening on that part. Definitely. But that's TuVues Podcast. Every podcast you're gonna get a top 5, and this is they back and forth. It's one of my favorite segments on the show. Just wanted to bring that to y'all so y'all can see the type of content you're gonna get from these brothers. So please go and follow them. Let's talk about NIL, name, image, and likeness. We know that the NIL is this thing where players can now be paid, get contracts for off of their name, image, and likeness. Certain companies are signing and stuff. You wear our hats, wear our clothes, do this, say this about us. They getting checks. So we got high school players. Mainly, it's a lot of college players, where in the past it used to be illegal to do this stuff. We've seen the issues from Reggie Bush, other players that when it came out later on, vacating some of their honors and awards they got because they took money for their name, image, and likeness. Some high school players have been ousted because of it, but now it's being legalized. So my first question to you all is that, is it good or beneficial look for student athletes when it comes to the NIL?
Y'all want to go first? Y'all want me to jump in this? Y'all know this is my baby, right?
Oh, I'm just a host. I ain't really. When I get to these questions, I want everybody to see y'all because I love y'all TuVues on stuff. So I'm taking it in.
So let me go first. When he first started talking about NIL, I was a main proponent against NIL, and I told everybody why. It was going to become a free for all, and they wasn't going to be able. They were going to be paying people all this money, and it wasn't going to be regulated. And what happened? They're paying all these kids money. It's not regulating. It's getting out of control. Only good thing that's happened for NIL is that it has balanced the powers in college when it comes to certain sports. Just look at NBA, not NBA, the college bracket right now. It's balanced. It's starting to balance out. You see it in football. Mm-hmm. Alabama ain't as great as everybody no more. It's starting to balance out, right? That's the only positive from it. But now you got kids getting paid $3 million before they even do one thing on a football field. Pick up this game. Then the quarterback in Tennessee was in Florida who was getting all his money. But check out this. Let's say y'all on that same team. And y'all, Jermaine, you on the O-line, you only getting $75,000 blocking for this dude. I'm playing linebacker. I'm getting $50,000 blocking for helping us win games for protecting the end zone when this dude getting $3 million. Show me where the fairness is in that. Somewhere, I always said from the get-go, it shouldn't be an NIL type deal the way it is now. The way it should be structured is teams should have allocated money that's divided evenly for every player on that team, and they get the same amount of money every time. And they also get, and part of that is revenue share from what they make from what those schools make, but split evenly to every player as a stipend. But now you got one player getting paid this, and then you might have a walk-on that's not getting a dime, bro. How in a team culture does that help anything? It doesn't help anything. And now it's like you might as well make it a professional sport now instead of intercollegiate activity, because now people are saying, I'm gonna go here if they give me this. And people like to compare it to like scholarships. Oh, their scholarship, this is not the same. It's not the same as somebody getting all this money and you're not. I'm telling you right now. If I was on one of those teams, I wasn't getting paid the same much, I'll leave. I'll leave and go try to find another school that's going to give me more money. I'll keep bouncing until I get more money. And that's what's happening. Now, this is how you regulate this whole thing. If you don't want to go the whole route of making it a stipend and splitting it evenly, this is how you fix it. You close the transfer portal. There is no more transfer portal. Get rid of if you're going to keep the NIL how it is, you get rid of the transfer portal. You can't just transfer whenever you want to make the money you want. Get rid of the transfer portal or regulate NIL to be even for everybody on a similar team. That's my speech for now. I'm going to let y'all go and have y'all say.
So I'm agree with you on a lot of it, but I'm going to disagree on one thing. Because I'm going to come at it from a different angle too. I'm gonna disagree on the fact that you said it's balancing the power scales. I wholeheartedly disagree, and the reason why I disagree with that is because the power scale is still based on the allocation of booster money, right? And so think about who has the booster money, and guess who just came to the SEC, right? What college you think probably has the most booster money out of anybody?
A&M,
huh?
Texas A&M.
Right. Any Texas school you get gonna have a ton of. They're gonna have a ton of more money. Right. What it's doing. I don't think it's balancing the scales. I think it's tipping them in favor of those other big teams. Because what you're gonna start seeing, for instance, I'm gonna take it out of football. I'm gonna go to wrestling. Penn State has the biggest fund for wrestling, and they got all the top recruits. They got all of them. So I don't. Penn State was already a dominant wrestling team. Now we can become more dominant and destroy the Big Ten because NIL. I think in a lot of cases, in a lot of the Power 5 conferences, what it's doing is it's not creating a balance. It's just shifting the weight to the other side, right? It's the schools that can afford the most money with their boosters are now taking over and becoming these power, and it's going to stay that way until like you said, it's regulated and that's it's balanced. But right now, it's not okay. Alabama's here because they got, and now NIL is going to even up, and so schools like Ole Miss and school like even Ole Miss got a lot of money, but schools like some of those the Mizzou and they go, it's not tuning the skills for Mizzou. It's creating a power. It's creating an even more power structure that's just going to take this side is not going to come like this, right?
No,
and so,
but I gotta disagree with you on that. I'm not saying it's balanced, as in right now it's balanced. I said it's balancing. It's starting to balance the scales. So if I'm a booster for Mizzou, and I got $3 million to give away, and this dude in Alabama offers this dude too, and I go to Mizzou and be like, hey, I got 3. Y'all, right. You think this kid ain't gonna take the 3?
No, I totally understand what you're saying, but we gotta understand the power of the dollar, right? The truth of the matter is where is the money, right? Mizzou will never be able to compete. I don't care what booster they get. They're never going to be able to compete with a school like a Texas. They're not. They're never going to be able to pay those kids more than a Texas, right? University of Illinois is never going to be able to pay students more than a Ohio State, right? They're never going to be able to. They're never going to be able to meet that, right? And that's why you got some Division I programs that are completely getting rid of all their athletics. They say we can't compete. There was a school that just came out and said we're just getting rid of all of our athletics. So I think you're right. I do think you're right. I do think there needs to become a balance of the NIL. It needs to be regulated. But I think we're just shifting the power. This is what I think. This is my opinion on balancing it. And you can tell me if you can agree or disagree. My first thing is I think it's taking away the importance of education in college. That's the educator in me. Mm-hmm. I think kids are bouncing. Like you got the kid that's got Michigan now who on his sixth scholarship. He came from North Carolina, and now he's playing basketball for Michigan. And it's not about the education anymore. So this is what I think. I think it should make a baseline for the NIL, right? They should make a money scale, right? And I think once you get to a certain scale, you're not eligible for a scholarship. What that will do is that would allow those colleges to take those allocated scholarships and give them to those walk-ons or those second, right? The kids that are still they're on the team, but they're still getting loans and scholarships and working 2 jobs just to be able to go to school and play. When you start making a certain amount of money, they balance off of like you just like you do with FAFSA, your parents' tax bracket and how much money you bringing in for NIL. And if you hit that certain algorithm, you cannot be eligible for an athletic scholarship. And then we get that. So now instead of giving then that may give me 7 other scholarships to give to the kids down here.
I like that idea. And I think you need to, for them people that hit that top criteria you mentioned, the transfer portal is closed.
Yeah, I agree.
Close the transfer portal for those. Like you got to determine a different structure. If you're going to do the NIL thing, you got to have a different structure for the transfer portal. Everybody just can't transfer whenever they want.
Because if it's about money, if it's about money, everybody going to go to the Texas A&M, the Texas, Tex. That's where they're gonna go.
But this is what I appreciate about my school, Notre Dame, though. Coach Freeman don't care about the NIL thing. Are they participating? Absolutely. They have a collective that's handling that whole process. He lets you know from the jump. If you come here for NIL, this is not the place for you. This is the wrong place for you. He let that be known up front. If you come in here based on NIL money and you going back and forth because this ain't the place for you. And that's why I love my school. I love Marcus Freeman because he's doing the thing how it should actually be done at every school. He's doing the way it should be done.
And Saint Nick is trying to. He's still he kind of doing more of an arrogant kind of way, but but just think of how much the structure I just said would benefit the kid that's on second team that's giving his heart every day to make that number one better. To say we're gonna reward you and pay for you because you probably gonna go to school and be a lawyer, communications major, a doctor or something, and so. We're going to reward your hard work and dedication to this football team, paying for your school. So you up at the top, you get $4 million. Hey, pay for your schooling. Right?
Pay for it yourself, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But we're going to take that scholarship that was meant for you, that was slotted for you, and we're going to give it to the second stringer who giving us day in and day out.
Ain't that crazy? They getting a scholarship and millions of dollars.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Crazy. Is that you triple dip it. You got the scholarship, you get NIL, and then you can transfer whenever you want if you get it better off.
And maybe I'm a little bit jealous, man, because we can get that. I mean, like we had to pay for our college. We didn't get that, NIL money. But if we did, man, I ain't gonna lie. I'll be bouncing schools too. I'll be bouncing schools.
I did want to say it's not really when I'm thinking about college basketball, and I would agree with you. I think it is kind of shaking up college basketball, but we also got to remember those 4 teams that are no longer in the bracket who supposed everybody they're perennial teams.
Mm-hmm.
They also had the highest recruiting classes and the most NIL money spent, and they still lost. So you know what I'm saying. So I think you have to regulate this in a way, but you got to reward though. It should be yay, you got NIL money. You don't need the scholarship. You good. You don't need that because first of all, I'm giving you a 4-year scholarship, and you're not even gonna say so. 2 of those years that 1 or 2 that for football, those 2 years you done ate up a scholarship of this kid that had to pay out of his pocket, and then you gonna go to the NFL and you with your NIL money just sitting there, right? Well, you can use your NIL money to pay for your schooling, and I can give those 2 years to this young man who giving us his heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To me, you got to balance it out that way, man. We got to, if you're gonna reward kids, reward all of them. Either balance it out like Kevin says, or move them scholarships to the kids that need them.
I just want to say one last thing. I was right.
Yeah, you was. You've been talking about that for a while. Before it even happened, you were talking about it. So I'll give you that.
Yeah, and I agree with both of y'all. So I like the ideas that both of you all have put forth, especially about the money. And I guess my one thing I'll say about it, I mean, it's beneficial, I guess, to some of those kids because I look at it 2 ways. I think some kids are chasing the NIL stuff so much because, you've heard a lot of different professional players talk about, I had to come out of school early, I had to get my family out, different things. So on the back end, some of these circumstances that some of these young men and or young women are coming from is going to give them opportunity to help their families. Now, the negative side of that, you don't want to see that pressure on no young student athlete, because as Keith said, the education is getting taken out of it. You so worried about playing and making this money. Most of them ain't finishing colleges. You hear reports of athletes going back, getting their degrees. Some of them, after they've been hurt, maybe they could even make it in professional sports. They're going back and get your degrees. But, having a son that's got a year in high school left, I tell him, son, I don't know which way you're going to go, but try to finish and get your degree because your body can't play forever. And God forbid if you ever know he dealt with an injury this year, that he's never had before. So you just never know what's going to happen. But get that degree, you get the education part because football, basketball, whatever you play, you can't last forever. Everybody see what Tom Brady didn't think. That was different. Everybody ain't Tom Brady. There was a lot of years he barely got touched. So his body was able to sustain. Some positions you play, you got maybe 3-5 years max. You might do 10. So it ain't going to happen that way. But another thing with this NIL stuff, I look at the division it could cause on the teams. Because as you stated, you may have a QB. I saw CJ Stroud, shout out to O State for all the haters out there. He was on the podcast. That Michigan shirt off. And they asked him, you making this much, you got the brand new car, but the guys that's blocking for you, some of them ain't making nothing. How do y'all keep the team camaraderie when a lot of them say, those guys understand, they're happy for us. But me, I feel some type of way. You the $1-2 million man. I ain't getting nothing but this scholarship. All I ain't got to do is block. I ain't got to block for you in something. Now you would think, but I just be concerned about that. Like, how do your other teammates feel when somebody's saying, but yeah, you the $1 million man, but if I don't block for you, you can't do everything that you're doing. Or if this defense, if you throwing 400 or 500 yards a game, but the defense put you on a 50-yard line or less because we stopping, but we ain't getting none of that money. And I heard these guys, no, ain't no friction on the team. And I was like, I don't know about that, because your success is slightly predicated off us too. So where is ours at? So that's something I look at as being like a negative to it. The locker rooms of some of these teams kind of feel some type of way when the top guys are coming, and then the ones that's transferring in, you taking other people's spots too. Maybe this is my year to start. Now you getting big money over here coming in. What about me? I've been working hard on scholarship. You bring in $1 million person. Now my spot just got took. So now maybe I got to transfer out of a place that I want to be here. But because now
Deion said he bringing Louis.
So yeah, that's kind of my little take on it. I see the kind of the highs and lows of the NIL.
But I want to say one thing real quick about CJ Stroud, which I like about him, is that it was sometime during the season or before the season started, I think, where like he used NIL money. He got like all his O-line or something. Like he bought them something. So he is trying to like bridge that gap somewhat and help out his fellow O-lineman and all that stuff and be like thankful towards him. So that's big ups to him for doing that, because a lot of people ain't doing that.
That's the Michigan running backs doing that too. He actually donated if not all of his NIL money. He does turkey giveaways for Thanksgiving. He does all that stuff. But my problem, my thought of it is, especially for those old linemen and blocking for the quarterbacks, and quarterbacks getting all that money. There was a reason why there's the reason why left tackle gets paid the most money in the NFL. Right, there's absolute reason for that, but in college football, like those linemen not getting those big NIL deals. Those big boys not getting those deals. So you're right though, they protecting them up and down the field. Like if I'm in the NFL, I'm gonna get a nice hefty contract as a left tackle. But in NIL, I'd be happy to get an NIL deal as an offensive lineman in college football. So I ain't gonna lie though. I would feel some type of way. I would feel it just, especially I know, what, if I had somebody that's humble like CJ Stroud, probably not. But man, most of them dudes ain't humble. Well, let me not say it. I'm not judge. Let me not judge them. But it would hard to be humble with that amount of money coming in with a $3 million contract. Like it's like, you can't tell me nothing. Like someone who come from poverty like us be like, I'm a made man,
I know we need to move on to the next subject, but that's another thing I need to add to this thing is that I don't think a player should get paid more than the lowest assistant coach. I think the NIL should not be paid more than the lowest assistant coach. How can you get paid more than the coach, bro? I mean, they do it in the NFL, but in college, your NIL should not be more than the coaches. Just saying. To be more than a coach, especially a position coach. If I'm a running back and I'm getting paid $100,000, I'm getting paid $500,000, and my running back coach getting paid $60,000. Come on, man, make that make sense.
That's good. That's a very good point. And before we switch completely off of NIL, because we touched on the benefits and negatives, we also know this is kind of starting to trickle down into the high schools too, to high school athletes. And I know for me, this year, I really paid attention to high school basketball. And unless I've missed it, I've never seen as much transferring as I ever have in high school basketball in the state of Illinois. that some teams this year became better, some teams became powerhouses because, and I was like, how? And then if you've been paying attention to the news, it was Maine South who had a very good football season, but that season was just stripped for them because kids was playing out of district. Somebody probably snitched, something happened. So they had kids playing on a team that was not live within that district. So we're seeing this stuff going to our high schools now where kids are allowed to transfer, come here, come play here. I won't mention it, but I'm even my son. He's got a little bit of, hey, have him come play here, come play. You know, we weren't going to do nothing there, but it was like it was expensive where he could have went to go play. He wanted to stay at his local school. But I'm just seeing this. So what do you think the impact is starting to even have on the high school and the high school athlete with the NIL coming and then the freedom for them to say, well, I'm going to transfer here and there at this high school to get that exposure, to get that deal?
As an educator, let me jump on this one as an educator, being in the education system. The biggest, I see that because we just saw, was it Carmelo Anthony's son or Booz or something? One of them, they just transferred from Sierra Canyon to another school.
Right. No, Carmelo's ain't at Sierra Canyon.
Whoever is from Sierra, they're leaving. No, LeBron. I think is Bryce leaving Sierra Canyon. I think Bryce is, but LeBron's son Bryce is leaving Sierra Canyon. And so, and I think that's good. You're right though. They getting this ability to jump around, but I think a lot of that comes with their recruitment comes through AAU, right? I think the AAU is becoming that conduit between teams. Like, man, I got this player over here, man. Hey, talk him into coming to such and such. I think that's becoming more. I think the AAU's insertion into high school basketball politics is becoming a big issue. Another thing I think is becoming a big issue on the football side, I think it may be on the basketball side too, but I only see it on football, is this graduating early, right? Mm-hmm. Graduating early and going to enroll. For instance, Ecker, who's now at Texas, he graduated early from Texas high school and enrolled early into Ohio State. Like, these kids are getting these other credits over the summer or doubling up on classes. Like, we are athletes, and we came from schools of athletics. We know sometimes athletes get a little, but there's been an explosion of kids that have been graduating early so they can go enroll early in college and play spring ball. That's not a benefit to the kid. Mm-hmm. And that, as an educator, that bothers me. Even as a student, I could have graduated early. I finished all my credit hours, and I took more classes. I went over my credits just because I like being in high school. I like the experience of being in high school. But I think what it's doing now, and the problem is kids are starting to know their NIL deals before they even get into their junior year of high school, right? And so now I can make a plan to get these other credits to graduate early and go play spring ball. Eckers knew how much he was getting at Ohio State when he was a sophomore. He knew he was going to Ohio State. That's why I can get my credits and you know, see what I'm saying? I think we're creating. I think we're creating a group of individuals, and this is just me. And say I'm just take off my Brainiac hat for if y'all say I'm putting it on, but I think we're creating a group of kids that are not going to be resilient in the future, man. Like I think we're creating a group of kids who are going to want to jump at the sign of adversity or the sign of lack. Instead of being resilient and bouncing back, they're going to jump and jump and jump. And I just see us going down a very dark path with this NIL stuff that I think our kids are really going to struggle in their adulthood. So
let me stop y'all. Let me stop both of y'all on this high school stuff. Let me just stop. First of all, once again, I'm going to say this again. I called this, but let me stop y'all real quick. Ain't nothing happening that ain't been happening. The only difference is now it's more open because it's happening because NIL has opened the look into a lot of this stuff. All this stuff has been happening before. Montana and all the schools been stealing kids for a long time. These Catholic schools been doing this for a long time. Kids leaving early, go to college, has been happening for a long time. Ain't nobody been talking about it. This door of NIL just opened up the visual over what's going on. It's been happening. It's been happening. It's going to continue happening. So think about how many cities This is why the city of Chicago hasn't won a championship. Think about how many city of Chicago kids are going to these Catholic schools away from their schools. Mm-hmm. Think about how many Chicago kids are playing on these Catholic school teams. Joliet, Montini, brother. This has been happening, man. It's been happening.
So I'll agree with you to a point, right? Because we when we were coaching, we had at a scrimmage game, we had a Catholic school recruit one of our receivers. So at the game, so. Yeah, both. But I think you're right. I think the Catholic schools, and specifically in Illinois, because that's been their ability. They've had the ability to recruit, but not all states have that. A lot of states have that regulated. Right? So I agree to an extent, but what I think is that the NIL has not brought it to light. I think what's happened is it took away the fear. Right, there was a fear to recruit. Right, I remember people were like Pure Central recruiting players on the South Side to come play. No, there was coaches were afraid to recruit because of the repercussions of recruiting. The fear has been removed. Right, there's no longer a fear because of the lack of regulation. And I think to make that fair in Illinois, either you regulate the private charter and the private charter schools of Illinois, or you make it a free for all. I mean, it's just sad. It's just sad that we're going down that route. And when we talk about me and Kevin as coaches, man, just give me 11 that want to play. Just give me 11 that want to play, and we're gonna turn y'all into some players. But yeah, I think it's just the fear has been taken away,
and the lack of resources. Some of these public schools don't have resources that some of these campuses. If we could put more money and resources to our schools, maybe they don't have to leave. Maybe they can have that weight room where they can work out all the time, or they can have a lunchroom where they can go eat healthy, get some protein. But maybe they can have that stuff. Not putting those resources, so they're leaving to a better school per se because they have better resources. Some stuff can change.
Yeah, don't give me a start on school resources. That's my.